Sure, I think this is a response to more of a PR issue than there is like a legitimate issue. I don't think the FDA is the right agency for enforcing this. So I think that there's other ways that we can make sure that clinical laboratory testing is done accurately and efficiently without involving the FDA, because I think the FDA's involvement is going to slow down the process, add bureaucracy, kill innovation, and not accomplish ultimately what they're trying to accomplish. We saw the FDA come in during COVID and grabbed a little bit of power during that time and started overseeing COVID testing, and I think that they're trying to expand that at this point. We've seen legislation as well as the VALID Act to try to accomplish the same thing. CLIA is looking at updating standards as another way to accomplish this, and I think some of those other ways would be better than the FDA overseeing LDTs. Sure, yeah, I think that there's a lot of oversight in place to help make sure that LDTs are being offered in a way that they're clinically accurate and safe. And there's been stories that have been in the news that have sensationalized things a bit. Theranos story, COVID testing, people hearing from their neighbors that they got a positive at one place and negative somewhere else, eroded the faith in clinical lab testing, even though most of those testings were FDA approved. Wall Street Journal and ProPublica have talked about this a little bit and didn't really give an accurate understanding of the current process. So right now, laboratories, every clinical laboratory that's doing high complexity testing, which an LDT, if you're doing a laboratory developed test, you're automatically a high complexity laboratory. Every lab doing an LDT has a medical director that is either a board certified PhD or an MD pathologist, and those individuals are reviewing and signing off on the validation custom to every single lab. And so there really hasn't been an issue with medical directors approving LDTs that have later been found to be inaccurate. It's been more the public perception around that due to news articles and things that have been a little bit sensationalized. So I don't think the FDA's involvement really solves that. And the tests that were being offered even by Theranos, for example, were FDA approved. So it wouldn't have solved the issue. So I think that it's more of a PR issue than it is a scientific or clinical issue. Yeah, so the VALID Act, we were able to push back. We were pretty vocal in our opposition to that. We didn't feel like it really accomplished what was needed and was going to be good for the industry. VALID Act is still alive. It's been delayed or maybe stopped, but it's still alive in the House. There's been no Senate leadership that stepped forward to take that on. So I don't know if that'll move forward or not, and that's given the FDA a process or an opportunity to maybe step in and try to be the group that oversees this. I do think there is an issue that needs to be addressed here, and that is the updating of the CLIA standards. So the CLIA regulations were written, the most recent ones in 1988, I believe, and so they're not representative of today's modern day laboratory testing. And so I think there's things like digital slide review and remote review and ways to allow the clinical laboratory workforce that is already scarce and there's a shortage of to be more flexible by allowing people to do their jobs from other locations and remotely. Regulations aren't clear on that. It makes it difficult for laboratories to be flexible, and if there was some more clarity on those regulations, I think it would be good for our industry. So I think there's ways to do it. I think CLIA is one of those vehicles. There's a group called CLIA that's responsible for updating CLIA standards, and I'm hoping that they will take input from industry. There is a mechanism a little bit for that, for the people that are out there on the streets and seeing what's happening to be able to give feedback to them, but it's not great. So I think a more open forum for them to collect information from laboratories that are doing this testing every day and incorporate those changes and recommendations into their standards would be really helpful.